Good evening, everyone. I'd like to, on behalf of all of us, I'd like to welcome Taapsee to our city, Madras, that is now Chennai.
Thank you so much. And happy Republic Day, everyone, before anything
and
else.
I'm so happy she's coming. As she says, the last time she was here, it was in the middle of summer. So she's actually experiencing our winter in Madras, which is not such a bad thing.
No.
And,
yeah, it's really chilly out there, I must say.
So it's lovely to have you here, Taapsee, and you're an incredible person with a personality which has so many facets to it, and I think you wear a lot of hats, because I've been, reading about you, and it's quite incredible all the things that you have done.
Thank you
and
so
are still
much.
doing, and you're incredibly young as well. So that's lovely.
I hope everyone sitting here also is on the same page, otherwise I'll have a tough time next few minutes.
So, a software engineer, that's how you started, I think, right in the beginning.
Yeah, I started deciding about my life by deciding to become a software engineer. And I think in India, most of us become engineers first to decide what we really want to do in life. So that's exactly how I started. I think in the second year, I realized that I don't think I'm cut for it. I loved studying. I think this is a weird notion about actors that we are all backbenchers and we are all dropouts and all that. I think I'm very happy I'm one of those who chose this profession fully by choice. It was not out of being thrown out of school or college. I completed my graduation with distinction, #show-off, because my industry is ridiculed a lot for having people who are dropouts. So let me just put it out there that no, not all of us are like that. In my second year, I realized that I am not made to become an engineer. Like, I'm not cut out for that, because a regular, monotonous 9-to-5 job was something I saw my father doing and got pretty scared with the idea of doing that for the rest of my life. I decided to challenge myself every day, because that will keep me going and will keep the life in me alive, rather than just doing the same chore almost every day. And that made me feel like I need to probably change. But what, I had no idea about. I knew I had to complete my education, because that was the only way I could let my family let me choose a profession of my choice. And we all know, sitting here, that how important family's decision is in your career. It's they who decide who you can possibly be first. So they let me choose my profession. That's why I give them a lot of credit. When people ask me, okay, the role of your family, I said the first and the biggest role of my family is they let me. Because I know so many people of my generation, my age, who are doing a lot of things in their life just because they were just told that this is the best way to go about life. So that's how software engineer turned into an actor, had an Infosys job, and I get to know every now and then that people at Infosys campus are still wondering where was I at the campus. I did not join the campus because I wanted to just have an option of a job of that sort, and not let my family or relatives and everyone feel that I'm trying my hand at acting because I just couldn't get through. And this is again one of those situations where we all believe that we are answerable to our family, relatives for doing whatever we are doing. Our validation comes from them. This was clearly that average Indian situation that I was in at that point, and hence wasted that one seat of Infosys for someone. I'm really sorry. And then I chose to do what I really wanted to do, experiment with my life, and here I am.
It's wonderful that you had the opportunity to do that too.
Exactly, yes.
And came into the line which you love and I think you just
figured it out on the way if I really love it or no. I've never acted, I didn't act in my college time, nor in school life. I never took part in any drama, any play, any skit, because I thought that it's too much for me to pretend to be someone else. It doesn't come naturally to me, I thought. But I'm a trained classical dancer. I'm trained in Kathak for 8 years almost. So I think expressing came naturally to me, which I used during my acting days. Tried to give audition, got selected. I've been very lucky with a lot of films in the beginning of my career, but my hustle or struggle actually started after my first film.
That's, Taapsee, you're an actress who's created your own mainstream. I think you've not gone according to the norms of what people expect someone to do. And you have broken barriers. It's incredible, all the paths that you have taken, paths that you have traveled in your career as an actress. And also you have taken incredible risks, I think, with roles that you have chosen, but somehow it's all fallen into place, God's grace also.
Well, yeah, a lot of luck, as
Yes,
I say, in our industry. But yes, it's not like I can take the entire credit of this because honestly, I didn't have a choice. I was not given an option of starring in big films. I was not given those big, at least in Hindi, a lot of big films where you just have to be the good-looking heroine on screen and pass off with some great songs and a few scenes. I was never given that opportunity, and I believe that maybe it's because there are far better looking and glamorous girls out there in the industry who were better than me at doing that. So I always was very far away in the queue to get to that kind of a role. So I had no other option than to be who we all are, and we break the queue and start our own queue. So I did that.
You're underplaying. I think you're being very modest because you're incredibly beautiful girl. So I don't think that's
I mean, I didn't have,
criteria.
so, you know, when there's a cliche saying, when life throws lemons at you, make lemonade. So I think this is my lemonade. My mainstream is my lemonade. I didn't have an option.
Yes.
I made sure I picked up the scripts from wherever I could. I got directors attached to the scripts. I had producers who were ready to fund it. I had to be there in putting the project together for a lot of my films because they were not those conventional commercial films that producers and directors will come very easily. So I had to do a lot of hustle to get these projects together for a lot of my films. But then, as I said, the unique credit that I get to choose this path is solely mine. There's nobody out there who can point at it and say it's because of me that she's here, or it's because of me that she is who she is. And I think that makes me sleep very well in the night.
It's a matter of huge pride also, I think, in yourself and your achievements. I think it's extraordinary that you have been able to work in films in 4 languages. That I find that astounding. Because it's Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam and Hindi, of course. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So how do you manage to work in these films? Do you know the languages well enough?
No, obviously not well enough. But as I said, for some strange reasons, at least 13 years back, the way Tamil and Telugu cinema was welcoming new faces was far more or better than what Hindi cinema was offering us. So the opportunities I got from here were really good. So I actually signed one Tamil and one Telugu film simultaneously. And while I was shooting for them, I got a Malayalam film offer, which was in a film which had Mammootty sir and Nadia ma'am. So I think purely by these names, I think I should feature in a film which features these 2 really good actors. And let me just make this a part of my filmography. And no greed of making a big career out of it, because I had no plan of how to make a big career out of, I was taking one step at a time. So I thought it would be a good thing to be a part of this kind of a film, and hence I took that film up. And that's how slowly I started building my filmography. I still am not really fluent in Tamil or Telugu, but I think if I get stuck, I'll figure out my way through. It's not that bad. It takes a little bit of brushing up whenever I visit Chennai to shoot a Tamil film, or I go to Hyderabad to shoot a Telugu film. A few days of brushing up, and it's quite decent actually.
So do you have a language coach or somebody who will coach you for this?
No, I think my films were my language coach, because I didn't ratify. In Hindi we say ratify, because ratification is something that a lot of people do when they don't really know something. They'll mug it up, as they say.
Yes.
But I was a science student. I approached everything with logic. So I did not have the mind frame or, the acumen to basically cram it up. I had to understand each and every word and then learn my dialogues, which was a more tedious process, gave me sleepless nights. But I think one good thing it did was it actually made me learn the language in some way so that I cannot be stuck anywhere in the future.
It's a wonderful way to look at it, that you actually get into the language itself to understand the script.
I still miss the fact that I cannot speak it fluently, because it really, after I started working in Hindi, I realized that how much I can really use my knowledge of the language if I know it well. So I kind of realized that how much more I can do with my performance if I really know the language. But then, yeah, I'm a little greedy. I don't want to don't want to stop doing Tamil and Telugu films. So I still keep doing one in at least 1 year. So I can at least stay in touch with, the place I started my career in.
That's right. And then Miss India, you were in, was it 2008?
2008, yeah, that's
2008.
Really
That's
not
lovely.
the thing that I remember the most of. I want to remember, I don't want to remember that part of my life. No, it's just because I was, at that time, I think like any other average girl in India, I felt like, okay, wow, I look half decent. Everybody says she's so pretty, so let's just go and take part in Miss India, because you obviously believe you're going to win it. So I applied for that, got selected in the top 28 or 29 that year, and went all the way to Bombay first time at that point in Delhi, from Delhi, because I was studying in my college at that point, and it was the first time I visited Mumbai. And after I reached there, I kind of those 20 days or 25 days that I spent there, every day I started realizing maybe not really made for me, because there were some really professional models who were competing alongside, and the way they conducted themselves, I felt like was so perfect for the pageant, relatively from how I was. So I realized probably this is not the pageant or the place made for me. I think my biggest takeaways from that pageant was, one, that never comb curly hair. And the second one was my best friend from the pageant, Farah, who I have a wedding planning company with. So I think these were my two best takeaways from Miss India 2008.
That's lovely. Your 2010 was your first Telugu film.
Yeah, it released.
Jummandi Nadam.
Jummandi Nadam, yes.
Nadam. So how was that a good experience?
Well, it was a really good experience, because it really, it put it out there what commercial cinema is about, which looks totally different from the other side. Like in front of the screen, when you're watching it, you feel like, oh wow, it's just about wearing fancy clothes and, like nice singing and dancing happening. You just gracefully walk around and that's about it. But when you're actually doing it, it's a different ballgame altogether. My respect for everyone behind the camera, front of the camera, increased drastically when I actually started acting. And that was a film that was directed by Raghavendra Rao sir, who's known to be, he's known to be the man with Midas touch when it comes to the actresses. He's launched some really big names. So I realized what it really takes to even be a commercial star. Forget about like just a good actress. To be a commercial star itself is not as easy as we presume sitting there, that it's just about wearing good clothes, fancy clothes and walking around, gracefully. It's not that. So a lot of things to learn, Telugu to learn, professionalism to learn. I owe a lot of my professional etiquettes or skills to South, Tamil and Telugu both. I was alternating my schedules actually. I went for my first Tamil film first, Adikalam, in Madurai, and then I went to shoot in Araku for Jummandi Nadam. So I was kind of like alternating my schedules. It so happened that Jummandi Nadam released first, and due to some VFX work, Adikalam ended up releasing in 2011. But I was shooting for them simultaneously. Yeah.
So it's almost like a learning curve going through.
Oh yeah, it was
everything.
the two diametrically opposite ends. Yes. I was in a Raghavendra Rao film, then I was in a Vetrimaran film. Yeah. It doesn't get more polar than this.
Tell us about the extraordinary thing that you did 7 films in 1 year.
I
That
also
was
don't.
something astounding. I thought it's like,
So when people
how
ask me
did you,
what is
how
the
could you do
craziest
that?
thing that you've ever done, I really have a very bland and a boring life, I feel. But this one thing I say that like, even though I have nothing to do in it because it's in the hands of the directors, producers, how they're going to release it. And obviously I have 365 days in a year, so I kind of figured out my planning.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of the craziest things in my life. I will remember that I had 7 releases
In one
in 1
year.
year.
It's
And yeah.
simply astounding.
I'm just glad I didn't burn myself out. I think I was just too excited, like that, you know, a kid in a candy store wants to try everything that she is seeing and is looking appealing. So I think it was that.
I think some of your films have been very, the films that you've chosen, I see that you did Chashme Badur
Yeah,
in
that was a launch film.
2013, Pink, which
Yeah.
was the big one there in
Yeah.
2016, and Judwa 2
Yeah.
in 2018. So these were 3 entirely different films with big
I think
stars
2 out
as
of
well.
these were by the same director, so they were pretty similar in the genre, Chashme Badur and Judwa by David Dhawan. These films, you know, no matter how much people ridicule the genre, that it just is so commercial and mainstream, it is playing to the gallery too much and all of that. But the unfortunate reality to this is you get numbers clocking in these films. My debut film, Chashme Badur, which was alongside some 3 relatively new actors, male actors as well, ended up collecting some 45 odd crores, which was a huge deal for a film with newcomers. So that is like almost unprecedented in a lot of ways. And then Jurwa 2 became my first film to cross 100 crores. Even though I had done
Fantastic.
Baby before that, which was a critically acclaimed film, I had a beautiful 7-minute role in that. But really good film, and it had a big star like Akshay Kumar in it. But it stopped at 99. And Jurwa ended up making some more than 125 crores or so. So I don't know who the joke is on, me or the audience. So I leave it open for everyone's interpretation.
Tell us about your action films like Baby, where you actually did the stunts yourself. That's simply brave of you,
Or lack of budget, no. No, actually, the first film was Baby, that I tried my hand at action. And now I'm a person who doesn't like action or violence for that matter. I get really scared. Even if I see someone slapping someone, I get really scared. Contrary to the perception that people have of me, I don't keep bashing people left, right, center. I'm pretty non-violent person in real life. But I started off with Baby, my action journey with Baby. That came to me at a point where I had done Chashme Badur. It had become a hit, but I was still really not getting good films to do. And I was not able to understand why. You say you want a big commercial hit. I did have a good commercial hit in my kitty. I was the only actress in that film, but that really didn't help me get some big films after that. And so then I thought, okay, let me just start thinking in a new way. Let me just not go by the way I went about choosing my films in South, where it was only about the big heroes, the big directors or big producers. So I decided, let me just try a new path. And I happen to know that Baby is a film getting made by Neeraj Pandey, where he has 2 girls in the film. One is supposed to have a song opposite Akshay Kumar and a couple of scenes, and the other is supposed to have an independent action sequence of 1.5 minutes and a couple of scenes. So I went out and really pushed myself through the film to get that action part, because I knew that, okay, it is obvious for someone to choose to be paired opposite Akshay Kumar, but I was like, what will get me noticed and will take people by surprise is if I do this action sequence, which is independent of the male actor, where he's not really coming to save me. So I chose that with purely an experiment. It was a 7-minute role. The entire media didn't even realize that I'm there in the film before the film released, because it's supposed to be this big Akshay Kumar starer. What will this girl do in the film anyway, even if it's there? So all these kind of opinions before the film kind of helped me to stand out, because when the film finished, uh, fortunately for me, people remembered me probably a lot, that as so much that I ended up getting my own spin-off, which has never really happened in Hindi film industry before, which was too good to be true for me. I mean, I was only like 3-4 films old, and they decided to make an entire film on my character called Naam Shabana. And that happened, that released, that made money, and then people thought, okay, now, you know, she's going to keep doing this action stuff, which I really didn't want to continue the same genre. I did Pink and a lot of other things after that, but I'm still waiting to get an action film which will raise the bar from Baby and Naam Shabana. There are a lot of these action films and franchise that's happening right now in Hindi film industry, where, you know, the girls are playing spies and all. But I did that back in 2015, and so I really have done that. So something else needs to come my way to excite me to be a spy or an undercover agent. It has to raise the bar. Otherwise, it's something that I've done and I've moved ahead now.
Now to go to Donkey.
Yeah.
Tell us, sorry, smiling about that. Tell us your experience. This has been a very awaited film. And with Rajkumar Hirani films, I read in your thing that apparently he doesn't give that much visibility to the heroine.
I think people who follow his work.
And you did have a very large screen presence in it.
Yeah, to everyone's surprise again. You know, I've realized that whenever people don't expect much of me or my part in the film, that film works the best for me. It happened with me in Baby, it happened with me in Pink, and it happened again with me in Donkey, where before the film comes out, obviously it's looked upon, like Donkey was looked upon as something which is like this big superstar, this big director. So obviously it's only about, you know, the superstar. But I was so lucky to get a part like this, because before this film, even Rajkumar Hirani's filmography didn't feature a female character which will have this much of screen space or importance in a film. So when I heard the narration for the first time, as it is to be called for that kind of a film was a big deal. Because I really don't, I still don't have an access to that kind of, you know, that kind of a room which will have these kind of people. It is very difficult for someone like me from the outside to get my foot in the door no matter how many hit films you do. Because the kind of films I do are not your conventional heroine films, which don't let me be the ideal choice to be the heroine for these big male superstars. So hence my entry into such rooms where these films are getting packaged gets almost like it's not even possible most of the times. So it was very surprising for me when Rajkumar Hirani called me after watching Man Marziyan that he would want to meet me and just discuss how I went about performing this role. I almost checked with Anurag Kashyap, is it really Rajkumar Hirani or there's someone who's pulling a prank on me? Because it was just such a sweet message which I had never received from anyone from the industry before. Yeah. So I went there, I met him. He was kind enough to appreciate my work, and then a couple of months later, he called me again and said that this is this film that I want you to hear, and I would love it if you become a part of it. I heard the script. Again, I felt like, you know, even if you would have made me a tree in this film, I would have done it. Because who doesn't want to be a part of a Rajkumar Hirani, Shah Rukh Khan film? But I think I just lucked out and got such an amazing role in the film. And again, that film has done a lot for me to put me out there in one of the biggest films of the year, commercially. Because most of my films give me a lot of love and respect from people who see cinema for the art of it, but then it's always about, yeah, but you know, what about the mainstream success? So someone like me yearns for this also. So I'm not really put aside as a parallel cinema actress, and audience gives me a chance in theaters to walk into the theaters and see my film.
I think you're being very honest by saying that. It's incredible. I think that it's not everyone who'll admit to something like that. That you're happy to be in that space, in that room.
Yeah, I mean, that's I don't know if it's the elephant in the room, but I think this is my harsh reality.
Absolutely. I also love the way you have no fear about speaking your mind on various subjects. And just very briefly, I loved your comments on the film Animal, and I thought it was very brave of you to say what most people thought in their minds. Even people across the country, I think, thought that.
See, nobody
But
wants to battle it out with numbers, right? Because
that's right.
in our industry, numbers is where you can put a full stop. There's no argument beyond that because it is entertainment business at the end of the day. And when you see a big plus like that on a film, you really cannot question it beyond a particular
That's right.
point. So with Animal, I think what I said was fairly, I felt practical and logical. We have people talking about how when we appreciate Hollywood cinema like Gone Girl, and you know, all these films where the girl is playing the part which is not so righteous, we admire it for the art of it. But what about when, you know, the tables are turned and the man is portraying that in India? My simple question to them is, are we as audience similar to Hollywood audience? Do we see our films like Hollywood sees their films? Because I remember from my childhood when you watch a film, you know, like Tere Naam, we had people walking around with center-parted hairstyle on the road. I saw like everyone became a bhai after that on road. We have films when Shah Rukh Khan does a film and his dialogues become iconic for everyone to say it in their regular day-to-day life. So we are a very impressionable audience. We do get affected by the films that we get inspired, we get affected by the films that we see because they are an extremely important part of our life and we take it very seriously. It's not just entertainment all the time. So when someone, and fortunately or unfortunately with an actor, after we become an actor, there's a sense of responsibility that we get. There's a soft power that we get to affect people. And that's why so many times we are forced almost to have an opinion on a lot of things that we probably don't know enough about also. So this kind of soft power, this power comes with a sense of responsibility. And in our country, since we don't have the similar audience like in the West, we cannot choose the roles in the similar way like people do in the West. I would also love to play a very negative character, which I did in Badla. I played someone who was out and out wrong, and almost so much so that Bachchan sir was pretty surprised that why would someone like me want to do something so negative when everything is going so well for me in my career. But I knew that eventual outcome of my character in the film is something which projects that what really happens when someone chooses this path. So I am okay with doing that character. I know my sense of responsibility that I have as an actor, who probably a lot of people would look up to or, you know, would like to watch. So when a film like Animal comes, I feel like it's okay to portray toxicity. It's okay to portray not the most righteous character by any star, by any actor. But the eventual outcome of that is something that we should be really little mindful about because we are dealing with audience who's really impressionable. So that's what my take on Animal is.
Absolutely. Well, very, very well said,
Thank you.
Taapsee. Also, do you feel that not just the actors, but even filmmakers, I think, have a responsibility to the societal impact that their films have on people? Like you said, it's not just the actors who act those roles, but the filmmakers themselves.
Everybody, as I said, films give us soft power. It's the impact of cinema on our society is so much that we cannot shy away from the responsibility it helps us shoulder.
Tell us now about your production company, Outsider Productions.
Yeah.
And you have your own production house. That's extraordinary, and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And just speak briefly about that.
So this was something I started a couple of years back with an intention that it took me 10 years to actually climb, pass that bridge from being someone who is potentially good to someone on whom a producer can invest money on. And this is a very difficult and a long and tricky bridge to cross for actors. There's so many actors in our industry who I feel, or so many technicians also for that matter, are in our industry where people feel that we know they are good, but they're not saleable or marketable enough to invest money on them. So this big gap that it took me took me 10 years. Some people actually take even longer to cross it. But I feel that this is very unfair to good talent. So I didn't want that to happen to a lot of other newcomers who have who are potentially good, who have it in them to make, to become a star in the future. I don't want them to go through that grind where they probably give up or they probably get really bitter about the journey, and maybe become a part of their journey by giving them an opportunity which will probably help them cross that bridge better or quicker, or make it relatively easier for them to cross that. So I started this production house called Outsiders with my partner Pranjal, who's got fairly good experience in being a producer for a lot of films before. So we started this together, and Outsiders, because yeah, I don't think I have to define that. I think this term was looked upon as a very inferior term for a very long time in our industry, being discussed as like, oh, because you're an outsider, so something not so good happens to you, or because you're an outsider, you always, somehow the way they look at you is a little step down in the conversations that were happening. So I wanted to make sure that this myth, that just because you're an outsider, everything inferior is what they refer you with. It shouldn't happen that way. So I decided to keep my production house's name Outsiders, and I've produced 2 films now. Blur, which co-starred me, and which was not really the plan to start my production house with a film that I am starring in, because my idea was to give opportunity to others, but certain circumstances made me partner and produce that film. But actually it was Dhak Dhak that I was working on when we started our production, and it came out last year, open to some glorious reviews. We had really good run on the OTT. We were like some really beautiful, affectionate messages from all across, and even some of them from the industry who noticed that how we made this kind of a film with this kind of a budget and this kind of relevance. And then next we are working on a couple of other things which again don't star me. So my idea of becoming a producer is not to generate opportunities for myself or to have a back-end share in the films or projects I make. It is something that, it's almost like a payback to an industry where when I entered this industry, I never thought I'll be here. It was one day at a time. So for whatever I've gotten here, it just is in a way sort of a payback to whoever I can help.
It's wonderful that you have the opportunity to give back. I think that's very commendable. And as I said, you started at such a young age to think of others other than yourself. I think that's an amazing quality.
Thank you.
Haseen Dilruba will be releasing soon.
Yeah, the next part of it.
The next part of it. It's a sequel. And I think you're one of the first actresses to shoulder your own franchise as well.
So I think the only other actress in my memory who has something like this is probably Rani Mukherjee, who's got Mardani 2, and probably working on the next one as well. And if she's the only one other than me, I'm in some really good esteemed company, I must say. So yeah, it is a very surreal feeling. That film, when we started it, I was not even the first choice for that film. I was probably the only option left with Kanika, the writer of the film, because she thought that, acha, koi aur nahi karega, nobody else will do it, she'll only do it. I think she went around to 3-4 other star actresses, and they all turned it down for some reason. But I was lucky enough that I was there. And then she came to me, and then I was like, of course I'm going to do this. Anything that everybody feels is not safe is the safest option for me. So
I love that.
I think I've made my entire career on risks. If people ask me to define my career, I think I'll equalize it with risks.
You've acted with mega stars like Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan, people like that. And you've held your own, I think, even against them. What did you learn? Was it a learning process? Did you feel intimidated by them, or was it just something that you could take back in a big way from working with them?
Actually, with Bachchan sir, or with even Rishi Kapoor, when I acted with him in Mulk, their young, glorious days probably happened before I was even born.
Absolutely.
So that kind of really helped me not to get intimidated, really, because I have seen them mostly in their second innings, when they started portraying roles, of a certain kind, not the conventional mainstream hero kind of role. So when I was acting with them, I was only enjoying their craft real time. I still say looking into Bachchan sir's eyes and performing gave me biggest high, because there's some kind of an energy that he radiates when he's on set that really helped me grow and perform as an actor. So a lot of my performance credit in the films that I've done with him are courtesy him, because I know how it is when your co-actor really invests the energy in that shot, looking at you and performing, regardless of how much of him is in the frame or no. I've seen the good and bad of this side, so I really appreciate Mr. Bachchan to be doing that, and he is responsible for the kind of performance I could give in the films that I starred in with him. And with Shah Rukh sir, I think he is just such a smart guy. I mean, not just about how he performs or he makes use of the set, the frame, but also how he handles the situation beyond camera, and how he has made this empire and personality that he has made, a brand called Shah Rukh Khan. It's just so admirable. I think I get confused, what do I admire more, his personality beyond camera or in front of camera? Because we both hail from the same city. We both come from Delhi. So there are a lot of things that I can, feel like, okay, I understand where it's coming from. But just so amazing how with the acumen and the IQ or the smartness of that man is what is really admirable.
So it is, you've learned a lot
I
from
learned
both.
I learned a lot about how to develop this kind of a brand that he has developed working with Shah Rukh Khan.
So Taapsee Pannu is considered one of a kind in Indian cinema. I read this.
As I said, I broke that queue and started
Yes,
my own, and I think I'm still the alone standing in that queue.
And there's actually no one else in the space that you are in.
Oh,
no
thank
one, none
God.
of the other
Nobody's
actresses.
behind my job.
And you're considered one of the finest actresses of the younger generation.
Thank you.
And
thank
I think
you.
that's something
I hope
that's-
younger
that's-
generation here agrees. You better agree, guys. Older generation is also agreeing, I can see. Very good.
Also, so this obviously comes with a bit of responsibility
A
also.
lot of responsibility,
with,
yes.
Along with what come, the accolades that come to
Yes.
you. So what do these awards and accolades mean to Taapsee Pannu?
So if you're talking about award shows, then, they are, let's understand, they are television shows first.
Yes.
And then everything else. And this I'm not saying by means of looking down upon them. There's a lot of money that goes in making them. So you cannot look over the fact that they need to serve some purpose of getting the returns in terms of money. So they are television shows first. So then after that, yes, there's a set of jury, and that is very subjective. So there will be a lot of films that you like, I don't, I like, you won't. There will be actors that you'll enjoy, I won't. So it's a very subjective thing when you decide who is the best actor, who is the best actress. So I think we should not get swayed away thinking that that bunch of 5, 6, 7 people in the jury decided, so this is the ultimate best. No, it is their decision, and since they have been chosen to represent the jury, so this is what they think, and that's perfectly fine. So that doesn't make the other nominees or other performers of that year in any way less, according to me, because for a few of my most pivotal films, I was not even nominated. So forget about winning, like for Pink or for Man Marziyan, I was not even nominated for Pink. People still did talk about my performance in Pink, or that became the game changer of my career. I was not even nominated. So I guess it's also about your market value. How much do they really, as I said, because they are TV shows, there should be a certain relevance in getting you on stage there. So there are a lot of these kind of harsh realities, as I said, because it's business at the end of the day. So they have to also manage with what kind of names they would want to be a part of the event. So I think I've made peace with that now. I was pretty miffed and pretty upset in the beginning years of my career, because like you believe that it's going to be all fair, square, but then it takes a few years of experience for you to realize, no, there are a lot of other variables that end up deciding the names, and you should be able to make peace with it.
There is a reality there.
Yeah, there's a reality check.
Okay, I think my favorite last question to you is going to be your fitness routine.
Okay.
You are an athlete and a runner, I heard, and a squash player.
Yeah, I play squash now, yeah.
You look like an athlete. Absolutely wonderful.
I think it's
So
my
tell
alter
us-
ego. It is, I keep telling my parents, it's because of you all didn't let me go to these coaching classes of different sports is why I ended up being this. Otherwise, I would have been an athlete. So I think it's an alter ego. I really have this inherent respect and for athletes, and I feel that representing your country in certain sports is probably the biggest act of heroism in a lot of ways. So I enjoy performing. Since I cannot be an athlete now, so I might as well just use my profession to represent athletes on screen and do a fair and good job at it. And it also gives me money to learn a new sport, which I enjoy. So I think it's a win-win for someone like me who enjoys playing sports. So I got a chance to play a sprinter. I used to sprint during my school days, so it kind of refreshed my memories there. I learned hockey for Soorma, though it was a very small role. I actually honestly took it for two major reasons. One was that they'll teach me hockey, and the other was because I get to act opposite someone like Diljit and do a story like that real story that really happened. So this was, and learning hockey was one of the key reasons for me to do that film. And then I did Mithali Raj's biopic. Again, I'd never picked up the bat in my life. I've been that viewer who'll have an opinion about how it should have been played, but I had no idea to play it myself. So I've been that cricket fan, and picking up that bat was some kind of a reality check, and I now finally can play cricket, and I've stopped giving my opinion on it now. So apart from that, yeah, I mean, I've learned shooting for Saand Ki Aankh. So yeah, there have been quite a few sports that I have learned, and I play squash in real, like I've been playing it since past 6-7 years. Pretty hard sport, especially for the knees. But yeah, I think that being an athlete really helps me understand how to deal with success and failure. Because I think the way, that sportsman spirit that is instilled in you when you play a certain sport, it keeps you mentally healthy as well. So I think that's why I suggest everyone, if you want to follow the path of fitness, just pick up any sport, any sport.
Absolutely. Thank you, Taapsee. This is
Thank
simply
you.
wonderful. I'm just there's a few minutes, so I'm sure there'll be a few questions from the audience. So we'd love to open it to the audience. We have time for a few questions. There are lots of hands.
Yeah, I
please
need
choose.
someone's help to, there'll be someone's help. Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Get the mics.
I think someone needs to just help us with choosing the questions, and I'm good to answer them, yes.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I don't have a question, but I have to share something about Taapsee, which I don't know if you remember Taapsee. So I'm a filmmaker in the Hindi film industry, and I have had once pitched a film to you, Taapsee, and in my entire 20 years of being a filmmaker, I have never met a person like you. I have to say this. I was always in the other end of the spectrum because I was in that room always. I've worked with Red Chillies and Yashraj and Dharma and all that. So that was my space. And at one point I decided that
Is that why I don't get work with Dharma and YRF? Because I'm because I'm very different actor that you've never seen before.
No, I'm talking about your professionalism.
Professionalism, yeah.
Yes.
Is that why Dharma and YRF doesn't take? Because I'm way too professional.
Maybe. Though Red Chillies is different. You
Red
know that.
Chillies has taken me twice. So
yes,
and
exactly.
no complaints there.
So the only other person I know like you is Shah Rukh.
Wow,
That's it.
now I have arrived, guys.
But genuinely, I'm going to say this very quickly. So I decided to go independent, and I was working with Pranjal, in fact, for something, and we wanted to reach out to you for a script, and I messaged you. You replied back within an hour, and you came to my house and met me the next day. This was in Versova. I don't know if you remember. This was with Kirit.
Oh, yes.
And we pitched you a film. And then I was like, okay, let's just sleep over it for 3 months at least, because no actor ever replies back before that. Within 24 hours, she messaged me saying, I've read the full script. And I was like shocked. I mean, like, that's unheard of. And she said, so I would like to meet you and Kirit, the director, because I have some thoughts I want to share. And I think 3 or 4 days later, you came to Kirit's office. And she didn't want to do the film, okay? She could have used 101 excuses to have, just disappeared or whatever, said anything. She actually came and told us what she didn't like about the film, what she couldn't relate to. And till date, I don't think I've met anyone like you, Taapsee. Please stay the way you are.
Oh, thank you so much. I've never seen someone appreciate me after I've said a no, so thank you so much.
Who's got the mic next? I think someone.
Hi, Taapsee. So when we talk about expanding horizons for women and all, a recurring topic is always women in comedy. And as far as I've known, if I'm not mistaken, you're somebody who thoroughly enjoys comedy, and you're also somebody who is hilarious, so much so that you also have a stand-up set that you did with Sappan and Ankad. So my question is, will we get to see more of Taapsee Pannu in comedic roles?
Oh, yeah, good timing to ask that question actually, because from Donkey, there was a Rajkumar Hirani type of comedy which has huge audience base, I feel. It gave me a chance to perform comedy as a genre. After this, I have a film called Wo Ladki Hai Kahan, which I hope they find a good theatrical release date soon. It is out and out comedy, and a comedy that I'm really proud of because it's very close to my real sense of humor, which I waited for years and years because I was like, I want to do comedy. I would love to do comedy because I'm someone who enjoys comedy in real. But the problem is I don't want to be the object of comedy in the film. I want to be someone who will perform and do comedy. So that's why I kind of waited long, and eventually now I've gotten a couple of films I'm doing, what's comedy. Khel Khel Mein is another film that I'm doing. Mudassir Aziz is directing it. It's an ensemble cast, and again, it's beautiful, like it's a comedy that I'll enjoy watching, I'll laugh at. So now I'm exploring that genre because now I'm getting those scripts where I'll feel like, okay, I am the one doing comedy, not being laughed at. So yeah, that's why the time.
Yes, ma'am. Personally, just it's exhilarating to hear all your experiences, ma'am. And the celebrities, they generally influence the society a lot, especially youth. So as a responsible citizen, we expect the celebrities to, endorse something which is very culturally and socially very progressive in nature. And anyhow, you have been doing that. It's kudos to you, ma'am.
Thank you, but I didn't hear your question, if there was a question in that.
I got one question, I got a question. Just how difficult actually, in the sense, and how demanding in order to change you from a glamour role to a role which is more of a sports-centric. Please share your experience, ma'am.
Actually, sports-centric films come more naturally to me because I kind of, as I said, my alter ego identifies to be a sports person. But being glamorous, I think people believe that being glamorous is also a lot about camera, about lighting, about your hair, makeup, styling, and about your personality. It's not just about how God created you. So there's a lot of this misconception that people feel, okay, because she's sporty, she cannot be glamorous. So unfortunately or fortunately, it's a director's medium. So a director has to visualize someone beyond your conventional look to imagine that person in a sports film or a glamorous film. So for me, honestly, I'm as much as a girl who loves to dress up and look nice, as much as a person who enjoys sports. So for me, it's a part of an actor's life to switch, and I enjoy doing that, but given a chance, which doesn't really come that easily for someone like me. Thank you.
Thank you, Taapsee.
Manu yaar, tu to chha gayi Donkey mein.
Thank you.
And Mithali Raj was my favorite.
Thank you.
I loved watching you. When the trailer released, I was like, I am watching this movie for sure. And I did in the theater. There were few audience in Chennai, but then I shouted at every scene.
Thank you.
So that was there. But then, as you said, you say that commercial genre is difficult when you make a movie. But then what is your favorite genre? And what is your genre that you're currently working on?
Okay, so my favorite genre is obviously, it changes with mood and time, and we can't keep a consistent genre as a favorite genre. Right now it's been comedy because I feel we don't have that many comedy films happening lately. We're bashing up too much. A lot of killing and brutality happening on screen. I'm not a huge fan of violent or action, like over-the-top action, so I kind of I'm someone who's looking out for comedy, and now I'm doing comedy as well. So that's what I'm working on as well, some comedy films. So I think we need a little bit of humor in our lives, and we all need to develop a sense of humor also in our lives. So I think comedy is what I'll go with now.
Thank you, Taapsee. I think